Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, I have some amazing news. If you haven't seen the Geno Smith contract details yet, be ready to be aroused because it is way better than I ever even thought humanly possible. On top of that, we got some more Raiders news that I want to be able to discuss near the end of today's show. A lot of players in Las Vegas today, a lot of people visiting with the silver and black. Anytime you're looking for Raiders videos, know that I got you covered. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. We're going to be putting out a video every single day. Heck, sometimes you guys are getting 2-3 videos every single day. And then when the offseason rolls in, more and more content from this channel right here, that I can promise you. So here's how the Geno Smith contract ends up being broken down from 2025, 2026, and 2027. The first number that you're seeing is the base salary, which maybe is important, maybe it's not all that important. I'm going to be honest, the numbers that I really look at for contracts, especially with Geno Smith, is I'm going to look at the cap number. So the first one, $40 million this season cap, that's a good number. $26.5 million salary cap next season for Geno Smith. That is a great value at quarterback. And then in 2027, $39.5 million, but that $0 million guaranteed to Tom Delaney, to Pete Carroll, to John Spytek, even Geno Smith himself. Everybody that had a hand in this contract that ended up getting done, you deserve a round of applause. This is one of the best contracts in the NFL for a quarterback position. I'm not kidding you. I am super happy. Never thought that this was going to be that good. So now what I want to do is I want to show you a little bit more details of some of the ins and outs of that Geno contract, and this is via OverTheCap. Geno Smith signed a 2-year, $75 million contract extension with the Raiders on April 7th, 2025. $66.5 million is guaranteed for injury, and $58.5 million is fully guaranteed at signing. The new guarantee is worth $35.5 million. Smith's 2025 base salary is guaranteed, and $18.5 million of his 2026 salary is guaranteed. Smith also received a $16 million roster bonus as part of his previous contract that is considered part of the overall guarantee. If on the roster on the third day of the 2026 league year, Smith will earn an additional $8.5 million in guarantees for the year. There are up to $10.5 million in additional incentives. Smith's 2025 salary cap number increased by $9 million as a result of the new contract. So a few things that I want to add on that, and I'll break all that down here in just a moment, but I want you to grade the extension of Geno Smith, given an A, B, C, D, or an F. My answer is going to be coming up right here after this YouTube ad break. This is an A-plus type of contract for the quarterback that Geno Smith is. I believe Geno is the 14th best quarterback in the NFL with top 10 upside, considering our coaching staff and considering, the offensive line that we're going to have was light years better than what he's had over the previous 3 seasons. If you also want to be able to digest this contract a little bit simpler, here's how Spytek ends up doing it, where $40 million in cash, don't really care. That's Mark Davis's money. That doesn't impact the Raiders. It doesn't impact the salary cap. The way that I would really look at this deal, it's a practical deal of like 2-year, $66.5 million. But overall, you're getting a legit quarterback at about $35 million per season. But when you see cap hits at $40 million for this year, I'm okay with it. 26.5 next season. 39 with no million guaranteed. You love to see all that. They also talk about some incentives. When you go back and look at the old incentives that Geno had in his old contract with Seattle, it was completion percentage, wins, it was passing touchdowns, passing yards. All of that is going to be in this equation as well. But I'm, again, man, blown away on how good of a value that Geno deal is, and also why it's an A-plus is the flexibility it gives this coaching staff. So for the first reason of why this is an A-plus deal for the silver and black, it's great value all 3 years. And it really truly is. You know that you're going to get a good quarterback this season at $40 million. Next year, the salary cap, it's going to go up. But compared to Geno, compared to some of these other quarterbacks and what they are making, I mean, it's laughable to me. Geno Smith, over the past 3 seasons, has won more games than Dak Prescott. He's won more games than Joe Burrow. He's won more games than Jordan Love. He's won more games than Trevor Lawrence. He's won more games than Tua, Justin Herbert. And when you really consider all those other guys making that type of money, and then you look at what Geno's making, hell, at the end of the day, you pay a quarterback to win football games. Yes, it's important to have them be a leader. Yeah, obviously it's important for them to go out there and play well, and I want Geno to go out there and play well. But you're paying a quarterback the amount of money that you're paying a quarterback in the NFL for one reason and one reason only. It's for W's. And the fact that only 6 quarterbacks over the past 3 seasons, I'm talking Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, those are the names Josh Allen have 27 or more wins. Geno Smith is on that. If you find anybody that goes, Geno's not that guy, or I don't think the Raiders can win with Geno, send them that stat over there because that's all he's done is win for Seattle. I get it. No playoff wins, but you need to be able to have a good team to win in the playoffs. Let's go to the next reason here of why this is an A-plus deal for the Raiders. You can cut him in 2026, or you can cut him in 2027. I would be shocked if the Raiders decided to move on from Geno in the year 2026, but, I mean, it is possible. The dead money of 18.5, you would end up saving $8 million altogether on the salary cap, but the real number and the real way that you should look at this is if Geno is bad, right? Bad, or at least not good enough to be making $39.5 million, which in the year 2027, I bet you quarterbacks that are as equally as good as Geno Smith are probably making $55 million this year. They're probably going to be making, $53 million in the year 2026. Again, quarterbacks that are as good as Geno Smith. And as I just showed you in that last graphic, he's making way less than what he deserves to make, quite frankly. Let's go to the next reason here. The trade structure is also a smart structure where I don't think that the Raiders are going to move on from Geno this season or next. I am been very confident in saying that Geno is going to be the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, no doubt, for the next 2 years. But because trades happen all the time and shit happens all the time in the NFL, what I really wanted to be able to show is the money. 0 dead money in 2026 and 0 dead money in 2027. 2025, again, we're not going to trade him this year. We just gave him a deal. But in 2026 and 2027, if there would be a team that says, you know what, I want Geno Smith at that contract. And I do think that that opens up the ability where, the Raiders can draft a Shedeur Sanders. You can draft a Jaxson Dart. You can draft any quarterback and have him potentially be the guy in 2026 because there would be 100% other teams out there that go, oh, wait, Geno Smith's $26.5 million and I can trade for him? That's a phenomenal deal. And he's got $0 million guaranteed in 2027. I don't think people realize the flexibility that was created for the Raiders. And for a draft that's coming up, this is what this team needed to do. The last thing of why I think this is an A-plus deal, it aligns with Maxx Crosby and it aligns with Pete Carroll. What do I mean by that? When the Raiders gave Maxx his brand new extension, they gave him, right now he's got 5 years essentially on his deal. But Maxx has $0 million guaranteed in 2027, which tells me if the Raiders are not winning football games by the year 2027, you can move on from Geno Smith, or you can convince Maxx Crosby to stay and go out and get a brand new quarterback. I'll tell you this, though. If the Raiders by the year 2027 are still not winning games, I do think that Maxx is going to be looking to get out. But the reason why that I brought that up is because Geno's salary cap is lower. Maxx Crosby's salary cap will be $29 million. It's going to give the Raiders a lot of opportunities to plan for the year 2027, which is the year that I would say is their Super Bowl window. That's the year that they're going to try to win it. But Carroll's got 3 years on his contract with that 4th year. So if the Raiders aren't winning with Geno, you can move on. It's not all that difficult to be able to do it, but it proves to me the Raiders have a plan. And I'm somebody that you need to be able to have a plan, and they're clearly doing it. And quite frankly, I think they're executing it very well. Coming up next here, we're going to get into some Raiders draft visits and the Raiders news from the day, if you will. There has been a lot, and I mean a lot of chatter around some of the top 30 visits that the Silver and Black had today. There was also some chatter around some of the visits yesterday, and you're going to see some of those names pop up again. But in total, we're going to be talking about some top draft prospects that are with the Raiders today at the time that I'm recording. I'll break all those names down for you here in just a moment, but today's show sponsored by GameTime, the official ticket sponsor of the Raiders Report and of Chat Sports. If you're looking for the lowest prices guaranteed, if you're looking for great ticket prices on basketball games, hell, I'm telling you this right now. I live down here in Dallas. The number one ticket that I would love to be able to get is to go watch Luka Doncic tonight going up against the Dallas Mavericks. Those tickets are a little bit lofty, I'm not going to lie to you, But with Game Time, you're going to be able to save a lot of money, and you're going to be able to have an amazing experience. So if you're looking to be able to go to any type of event, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code ChatSports. That's ChatSports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now, there's always different situations, and when I go out to Vegas, I always try to see what different events are. Maybe it's a Golden Knights event. Maybe it's Chugs and I want to go watch a concert. We've seen Drake before. Maybe it's, I don't know, a basketball game. The reason why I want to talk about the Luka game today, because I know there's a lot of Lakers fans here, but if I was somebody that wanted to go to that game, I would wait until an hour, 2 hours. Basically, Game Time says it's last call. That's when you're going to be able to get the best ticketing prices. I'm going to look today. I'm going to see what the deals are, and I guarantee you the tickets are going to go cheaper and cheaper and cheaper the closer they get to tip-off, because they know that if you sit there, you're going to spend money. I can't wait to see that game tonight. Let me know who you got. Lakers, Mavs down below. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's show, and shout out to them for being the official ticketing sponsor, not only of the Raiders Report, but of all of Chat Sports. Let's go to some of the Raiders draft visits that they have today, and these are going to be some of the names that I discussed yesterday on the live show, because they are also still meeting with the Raiders today. First person that I'm going to talk about is Jaxson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss. He's got a lot of ties to JPJ. They were high school teammates. This isn't somebody that I would want the Raiders to draft in round 1. If he was on the board in round 2, you could at least say, all right, that would be interesting to me. Though I do see Dart going in round 1 just because there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumors around some quarterback sliding. But before I saw the Geno contract, I would have said doesn't make any sense to take a quarterback in round 1. You can now take a QB in round 1. And if it's bad for Geno in his first year, you can move on from him in the year 2026 and hand the keys to a quarterback. Another person that's meeting with the Raiders today is Carson Swessinger, a very common name on this show, somebody that I would love for the Raiders to be able to get in round 2. An absolute tackling machine, showed up really, really well last season for the UCLA Bruins, and we know Chip Kelly's got some love for some of his UCLA guys. Let's go to Josiah Stewart, edge rusher here from Michigan. One of the NFL comps I've been seeing thrown around for Stewart is Azeez Ojulari, who was a second-round pick by Patrick Graham when he played for the New York Giants, and it's kind of been a role that we've been saying, could we find an outside linebacker edge prospect that can take over for a K'Lavon Chasen that could be another Malcolm Kuntz type of player, because he's on a 1-year deal? Josiah Stewart is a name to keep in mind for day 2. Another name, Will Campbell. This is going to be one of the top players that I can see the Raiders potentially taking. It's going to be a name that you're going to hear tomorrow in a video that I drop. But he is a great offensive lineman. I don't know if they view him as a tackle because he does have short arms. But John Spytek has said it himself. He loves offensive linemen. And if you would be surprised that the Raiders would take Will Campbell at 6 or any lineman at 6, I would say you don't know John Spytek's history all that well. Another player that's visiting with the Raiders today, Mason Graham, defensive tackle for Michigan. And I believe that he's the number 1 DT in this year's class for the Raiders. There are some people that don't have him there, but a team leader, an absolute dog's got that Maxx Crosby mentality. He's going to be there today. Another quarterback, Quinn Ewers, which actually, I just got a text. I think he's actually getting ready to leave at the time that I'm making this video. But Ewers has been a very, very popular name for the Raiders on day 3, and I have been somebody that has said, I believe the Raiders end up taking a quarterback on day 3, and they have met with Ewers multiple times. You can't deny that he's got upside. He's got elite arm talent. He just needs to be able to learn for 2 to 3 years, which aligns with the Geno deal. Another quarterback that I think needs to learn for another 2 to 3 years until they are ready to be able to go out there and do their thing, Will Howard, and he's meeting with the Raiders today. When you see the amount of quarterbacks that the Raiders are meeting with today and planning on meeting, I love that because I want the Raiders to be able to accumulate more picks. I want the Raiders to be able to trade back. And because the Geno Smith contract is structured the way that it is, it gives them so much more flexibility to convince teams of, yeah, I am going to take Shedeur at 6. Or, yeah, I am going to take Jaxson Dart and, I don't know, pick 37. Yeah, I am going to take a Will Howard on day 3, a Quinn Ewers on day 3. Though, the number 1 player that I've been getting messages around, and when you just see the amount of smoke that's around Ashton Genty, he's visiting the Raiders today. I believe he is the number 1 player most likely that the Raiders are looking at to take at number 6. The value is going to be there. They are trying to put him, around players that are doing some of these offseason things that they're doing right now. Ashton Genty being in the building is creating a lot of buzz is all I'm going to say. One quarterback that's going to be visiting with the Raiders next week, Shedeur Sanders. A lot of connections with him and Tom Brady. And then on top of that, Tyler Shough, another quarterback that's going to be visiting with the Raiders sometime. I don't know if it's later this week or also going to be next week as well. But because of all this quarterback chatter, I am glad that the Raiders structured the deal the way that they did with Geno, and they are hosting all these quarterbacks for a visit. I am confident the Raiders will end up taking a quarterback, and I also know for teams that want more picks like I do in terms of trade back, when you're interested in a QB, teams are worried about that, and there's teams that are willing to make trades with you. So today was an amazing day. I thought the news that we got today around Geno, around all the visits, is why I put out the video today. Amazing news for the Las Vegas Raiders. If we get any more updates, I will do my best to keep you guys up to date on social media at Mitchell Renz 365. Appreciate everyone tuning in today. Appreciate the Raiders for doing an A-plus stand-up job with that Geno Smith contract. I think it's one of the best deals that I've seen in the NFL in quite some time.